Yeah, here I am. It's October 13th, 2022. I took a shower, so I'm clean, although I didn't really shave. When I say I didn't really shave, I mean I didn't shave. So I, still a little scruffy, but I'm feeling clean, and I think that's important. Welcome. It is, what is it? It's Aaron Live, last second live stream. We're going to do a little lunch stream here. I'm going to ink the Garbage Man art for the trading card that all of you who've backed Wraith of God Blood Hunters or will back Wraith of God Blood Hunters will get for absolutely free. So we're going to work on that today. I want to also point out that perhaps overstating the obvious, but I do have this crazy campaign going on right now. Look at that. We're $114,905, 1665 backers. Thank all of you that have backed so far. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We want to get this to 120 so that we can get that Esther Queen of Hearts playing card. And that'll be absolutely free. So anyway, the link for this campaign is in the description of this video. So at some point during your day, I would appreciate you go and check that out. Look there's a message there from Johnny Lane. It says, "Hi, Aaron. I was just wondering if there is an ETA on you adding that beautiful Dale cover as a blacklight poster up in the campaign. I'm ready to throw my money at that." Here's the thing. I am going to do a Prince campaign, not Prince the musician, but Prince campaign that will feature the Dale Keown blacklight poster, and that's going to be full size, like 24 by 36. And then I'm probably going to do the Bisley cover as a 24 by 36 print poster, and then a Kit Carter insert poster, meaning those long, narrow 14 by 36 movie poster, insert poster for Kit Carter, and we'll have those three available, and then possibly some smaller prints of the artwork from some of my covers for Wraith of God. So you'll have an opportunity to buy a bunch of prints or one print or whatever. It'll all be part of the same campaign because they'll all have to be mailed in poster tubes, obviously. So I can't connect it to my existing campaign. I mean, I could, but I'd rather run it as a separate thing. And so that's probably what we're going to do. But that won't happen until the spring. And of course, we'll keep you guys informed and updated on that, and when that occurs or when it's about to occur. Let's see who's here. Creative Faye was the first one in the house. Thanks for joining us. You get absolutely nothing for being first, but we do appreciate your attendance. Stat Zero is here. There you go. So he's working. I'll link some chaplain cards along with you. Hello, Aaron. Hello, chat. Kevin Thomas is here. He's number 2, which is almost as good as being number 1. Dan Genovese. Hello, Aaron in chat. Elon Mudd is here. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Tarks9 from Canada. The Green Laser is here, and he's, of course, posting links like he always does. Greatly appreciated, Green Laser. Yeah, there will be Monster Madness today. Let's see here. Megatronus. Megatronus says, Aaron, I finished reading Wraith of God, and it was incredible. I can't wait for book 2. Thank you so much. You know, it's funny because I'm still getting words from people I'm getting words from people. I'm getting emails and messages from people saying they've just read Wraith of God, and which is funny to me because it's, it was shipped out literally months ago. And but I know how that happens. You get a stack of books and you set them down there, and they get in your reading pile, and it takes a while to get to it sometimes. In fact, I just got contacted by somebody in Britain whose book has not been delivered yet, and it was shipped out on August 19th. It's not showing that it was lost or that's returned to me. It's just saying that it's still en route, which means it's stuck in customs for some crazy reason. So that's kind of frustrating because there's very little I can do about that. I mean, I could send out a new book, which I may have to do, but then same thing could happen. It could get stuck in customs and sitting there forever. So we shall see. I know there's still a few books that haven't made it into the UK for some reason. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. Eric Medved says, love the shared universe, was reading Garbage Man, I've read this before, had the first half in a DC book. Yes, but I took Batman out and put the nightclub in there, which is very important for the ongoing Leprestiverse. But thank you. I'm glad you're reading that, and I appreciate it. Payday, finger slipped. Okay, I probably missed your first message, but that's okay. Dan says, I was late to the party, so I ordered 1 and 2. Can't wait to read them both. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Love how the Wraith connects with the nightclub. Well, someday I'll talk openly about that, but until we get the whole picture comes together for you guys, I don't want to spoil anything, but so we'll just leave it at that. There's more coming on that. So there you go. Gray Fox just read the book on the weekend and loved it. Awesome book. Can't wait for part 2. Thank you, Gray Fox. So we are getting people reading it still. So I'm kind of reticent to talk about it because I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't read it yet. Okay, so here we are. What are we going to do? We're going to draw. Now, Mike S. Miller is a friend of the show, and he frequently informs me that I'm a wimp for not using a brush. So I'm going to use a little bit of brush today just to appease Mike's criticism. I'm going to go with, now Gary Martin informed me that these are no longer available, which is really sort of ticks me off. These are 8404 Kolinsky, Raphael Kolinsky's number 2s. Now, Gary says they still make the 8406, which is a little bit thicker brush. So this is the last one I have. So I'm going to have to order some of those 8406s and see exactly how they work. And then go from there. Because the Winsor Newtons just suck now. And I don't use that much brush. Well, I haven't been with, I shouldn't say I don't, but I haven't been with Wraith of God. That's all pen. And I'm using, just for the heck of it, I've got Blick's Black Cat ink. I'm not going to put it over my drawing because with my luck, I'll spill it. I change inks all the time because I've never met one that I thought was particularly great. Marcus Killigrew says, I think they make the 8408. Okay, maybe that's what it is. I'm not going to do too much with a brush. I'm just going to, let's get in there a little closer. I'm going to outline this with a brush. And it's so dumb. I'm doing this, taking care on this line. This is all going to be solid black there anyway. But it's a good example of how pressure can create these different bumpy areas right with your brush just by changing the pressure. And I prefer to try and get a little bit angular rather than super slick and rounded. Because although that's a, it's a fine look, it's a dated look. And my artwork is already sort of, 70s throwback. So I like to try to give it a little bit more contemporary feel by making it a little more stylized and angular. Actually, I don't know if contemporary is the right word, because if you look at somebody like Leyendecker, his stuff was very angular, and that was back in the turn of the century, and I don't mean the 21st century, I mean the 20th century. So, but I do kind of like that sort of angular, bumpy sort of look, rather than just a smooth, flat line. See, I can use a brush really well. It's just and I've said this before, I get impatient and bored, and so then I get sloppy. And when I get sloppy, that's when it looks like crap. So that's why it's easier to use a pen, because even if I get sloppy, you don't really have to control the pressure that much. I'll take S apprenticeship in exchange for being first. Let's see here. There it is, brushwork for spite's sake. That's exactly what it is. Hugh is demanding that I use a Pentel brush pen like he does. They're amazing. I draw exclusively with him for almost 4 years now. I've had other people like Hillary Bard, sing the praises of the brush pen, and I have not really used it, but I should explore that. Tarks9 is using a Cyberfrog binder for Comicsgate cards I collect. Well, I'll be sending you a few more to on this campaign to fit in there. Luke oh my gosh. Luke Koralowitz. Sorry, Luke. Is here. Jiminy Cricket, there he is again. He says, plus you can refill the Pentel brushes forever by removing the inner part of the ink tube. She's doing good, Jimmy. Thank you for asking. She's taking a nap right now. She's, of course, in radiation daily now, and it fatigues her, but it's not, she's actually doing really, really well with it. So thank you for asking. I used to be just a slave to slickness, and I'm not so much anymore. Because I think the bumpiness, the variance in the line helps with adding that three-dimensional quality that I'm always looking for. Although super slick inking is nice to look at in and of itself, meaning that you can really appreciate the craftsmanship involved in someone with that kind of control. But then it oftentimes, to me, goes flat. Bolin does a pretty good job, or used to, I should say. Killing Joke is all brush. And I wouldn't say that stuff looked flat or anything. But even his Batman figures and stuff sometimes are so hard that they feel, they look like porcelain or something, And I'm much more a fan of, Frazetta or Wrightson and how they would get, the figures were bumpier and lumpier and more organic. Oops, sorry. My hand in the way there. Yeah, I'll leave that. Let's try that. It's also easier to ink with a pen when you're talking. But you can see how quickly you can move with this brush. And when you start doing that, that's when your lines get sort of rubbery or can, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. I don't know if Jiminy Cricket is being facetious but yeah, Killing Joke. Go take a look at it if you have a copy. It's all brush. I was stunned. I saw the originals right after it came out. Some art dealer had some at San Diego back in, I don't know, 89. And whenever it came out, 88 or 89. And I actually held pages from it in my hand. They were, this is going to sound silly, but they were $1,200 a page for the panel pages. And I didn't have the money, or I would have bought one. Now those are, worth a fortune, but oh well. But yeah, I held them in my hand and I was looking at them and I was like, oh my gosh, this is all brush. And I could not believe it, but it is true. Gary Martin once attributed a quote to Boland. I didn't read it myself, but Gary told me this, and so I assume it was true. But he read a quote, an interview with Boland in something, and Boland had made the comment in this article or whatever, this interview, where he said that, sometimes he stops and watches his hand when he's inking, and he goes, he's amazed at how slowly it's moving. And that's true. I mean, you have to find that balance between moving too slowly, so you start to get a little wiggle in your line, which you don't want, and moving too fast that you lose control. So, but yeah, if you want to, I mean, you look at how slow I'm doing this. If you do it really, really slow like this, you can maintain control and you can make it look, get your line to look pretty much any way you want it to look. The problem is, how many of us are that focused? I know that I'm not. I mean, I can make myself do it, but I have to make myself do it. It's not something that comes natural to me. I kind of want to move and keep moving. And that's why I always inked my own covers, because I could keep it together for a single illustration. But if I was doing it like page to page to page, stuff tended to get a little bit sloppy sometimes because I'd get impatient. And so by switching to the pen for Wraith of God, it eliminated that problem, because I was treating everything just like I was, sketching with a pencil, which is very natural motion for us that are pencilers, because that's what we're doing almost all the time. Almost grabbed my ink water to drink. That would have been bad. All right, what does Jimmy say here? Jimmy says, I'll DM her later. I wasn't sure what time her treatment was today and didn't want to bother her. I hope you're doing well, too. I know it's been hard on you as well, buddy. Sending nightly prayers. Thank you, Jimmy. And then Jimmy sends $5. Thank you, Jimmy. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Don't tell Shelly. Okay, I won't. Yeah, we just gave you the basically the update. No, it's fine. We she has radiation treatments at 8:45 every morning, 5 days a week. And so we go to that, and it's not very long. You know, it takes, once we get there, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're gone. So, but I don't know, you just adjust, right? And I'll tell you the truth, the harder thing is live streaming as much as I have to during this stage of a campaign where you're trying to promote the campaign, right? So it seems like you're constantly live streaming, and it's really hard to get any consistent work done. I just finished page 7 and laid out page 8 for Wraith of God Blood Hunters. So I am working on it, but man, I would have liked to have been on page 20 by now. But you kind of roll with the punches. Once the campaign goes in demand, which will be less than 2 weeks, then I'll hopefully be able to sort of focus a little bit more on the work part of it and less on the promotion. Now, leaving these little, if you can see there, those little openings. Come on, it'll focus that close. I don't know if it will. Come on. You can kind of see those little openings I'm leaving in the black. It's almost like a little double line work. Yeah, there you can see it. That's a very Wrightson-y thing to do. Those are little things you pick up from other artists and incorporate into your work. It's because you like the look of it. And those of you who are hardcore art collectors out there, I'm going to sell this piece. It'll be up on the campaign page, along with the Kit Carter piece, which I haven't inked yet. Almost certainly before the campaign goes in demand, so probably within the next week or so. When I do these short little stubby feathering lines like that, those are easy to do pushing out from the black. If I have longer ones that I want, control of, I'll ink into the black from the tip to the base of the feather line, as opposed to from the base out to the tip, because that's going to be looser and harder to control. But when they're really short like that, it's not that big a deal. Like your title pages, very Stranko. Thank you. It's it's funny. I was on a stream with Gabe, Gary, Martin, Dan Lawless, and David Williams. We were talking about Eisner. And Eisner, of course, was the first one, at least that I'm aware of, to do that, to work the title into the art. And then Stranka was doing it, of course, in the 60s. But he's the first one I saw doing it. I didn't see, I didn't discover Eisner till later. But yeah, I just think that's really cool. And it was something I specifically did. Well, when I was working on Mystic over at CrossGen, I put Mystic, the word Mystic, in the artwork on every splash page, on the first page of every story. When I was working on Garbage Man, I actually worked the title of the story into every title page or every splash page, or I shouldn't say every splash page because some of them weren't splash pages, but title page. So I had the title of the story was actually on the first page of every segment of the Garbage Man stories. And that's what Eric's referring to from the Garbage Man trade paperback collection that he has. And it's I still have copies available on this campaign. Or you can just order one directly from me by emailing me. So there's a variety of ways you can do it. I wouldn't say the Garbage Man trade paperback is must reading for the Loprestiverse stuff, but it does give you a little bit of background, not much, but it just gives you kind of maybe a little preview of the nightclub, especially when you read the Wraith of God graphic novel and the nightclub, or at least Mr. Mystery from the nightclub, pardon me, Mr. Midnight from the nightclub is in that preview or epilogue along with Garbage Man. So it's kind of helpful to have read the Garbage Man graphic novel to get a little background on that stuff. But like I said, it's not essential. But eventually it will be if you continue to back my books, because you're going to get more Garbage Man and more Garbage Man stories, and having the background and his origin, all that stuff will be helpful, because I don't have any plans to retell his origin anytime soon, because it's all right there in the trade paperback. And any Garbage Man stuff I'm going to be doing will be to forward his narrative rather than looking back. Like I said, especially since that material is already available in print. There he goes. I've been a fan since Sludge. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that, because that goes way back. Did Jack Cole do it? Well, Jack Cole, pretty sure Jack Cole was in the studio with, was in Eisner's studio in the 40s. You have plenty of opportunities, Jimmy. It's going to be around for a while, so don't stress it out. We'll get it figured out. Oh, geez, I forgot. No, I'm going to go pick that up. I'll pick that up today, and then we'll open it on Comic Art Convo this weekend at Saturday. James and I will be discussing our favorite villains and comic book villains, and I'll open that package during our show. All that stuff goes to a postal annex it's not that far from my house, but I have to be down there. I don't usually make special trips down there unless I've got something else going on. But they hold them for me, so it's not like, they're getting shipped back or anything. So I'll go pick that up today. I'm glad you reminded me. Ooh, these veins Garbage Man has. Thing is, what's coursing through these veins? That's the question. Mud? That's the other thing. I always stop. I notice this when I draw too. I'll draw a few lines and I'll stop and look at it. I'll draw a few lines, I'll stop and look at it. I don't get this sort of momentum going where I'm just like drawing and then, you know, an hour later I'll stop and take a look at what I've accomplished, kind of thing. And how does it look? I'll like draw a little section and then step back and look at it, pause, draw a section, step back, look at it, pause. I don't know if that's a normal thing for artists or not, but it's apparently a normal thing for me. Really gets tempting to start moving faster. I'm trying to keep from doing it. If I catch myself doing it too much, I'm going to switch over to the pen. It's really hard when you've been focused your whole life on getting a job done in a certain amount of time to meet a deadline. And then, you know, you do something for yourself and you don't really, I mean, I do have deadlines, obviously, but they're sort of self-imposed. And you think, oh, I could slow down a little bit, but then you just don't because you're so used to, you know, getting through it and on to the next page. It's like an entirely new mindset that I have to kind of get into my head. Jeff Potts, do I stick up my thumb and look at it as well? No, I do not do that. It's a Raphael. I used to use Winsor Newtons, but like in the late 90s, they just got really crappy. And it was like almost impossible to find a good point. So I use Raphael's now. But to be honest with you, Jimmy, I don't use brush that much anymore. I use mostly pen. I'm just doing this to show off that I can actually still use a brush. But even when I use a brush, sometimes I'll go in when I'm done and then take a pen over to the top of some lines to kind of angle some stuff up so it looks a little bit more stylized and not as soft. Let's see here. There's Jimmy. As you know, I absolutely love book one. Favorite book ever. I can feel your passion with every page. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Yep. Eisner had some really clever use of the titles and stuff in his art. That's a good question. Are there any contemporary monster designs you like? Yeah, but I think it's important. Like, I didn't like okay, let me rephrase that. I didn't not like the designs of the orcs and stuff in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, but I felt they lacked concrete characteristics. They were very, there was just kind of like gross and ugly, lumpy, gross, ugly. They didn't really have any sort of uh, trademarkable look to them, which I think is important. So creatures like the Predator, I really think is a great design, but it's a memorable design. It's something you can really grab onto, and you could make a mask out of it. You could sell toys that people obviously they do, because of that. The design of it is good and concrete, and it's not just, hey, let's make this look as ugly as we can. I like the alien, the xenomorph, not as much though. I mean, it's a good design, but it's more like a giant bug to me, which is fine. But Predator is probably my favorite contemporary monster design. The werewolves in The Howling I really liked, but that was basically because they were based on Wrightson. And I'm already a Wrightson fan, so. I'm trying to think. I mean, most horror films today are not monster movies. They're, slasher films or devil possession films or something like that. They're not monster movies in the classic sense. I thought Rick Baker's makeup on The Wolfman, the one with Benicio del Toro, was really, really good. It was like the classic Wolfman, but I hate to say, but better, because Jack Pierce, who did the makeup, was a genius, especially for the time he was working in. Of course, he created the Frankenstein makeup for Karloff and the Mummy for Karloff, and pretty sure he did Werewolf of London with Henry Hull, which I like that makeup a lot. He did not do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, though, however, with Frederick March, which was really good as well. But I thought Rick Baker's job on The Wolfman, I'm not a huge Lon Chaney Jr. fan, and I mean, he looked okay in the makeup, but that kind of fuzzy afro type hair he had didn't really work for me. But I liked what Rick Baker did with Del Toro in The Wolfman. I thought that stuff looked really good. E.T. I thought was stupid. I mean, it worked, obviously, and it was a huge success and blah, 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 but it was, I don't know. I thought the face was okay, but now that film, E.T., was originally called Night Skies, and it was supposed to be about bad aliens, not a nice alien. And Rick Baker was supposed to do the makeup for it, and him and Spielberg got into a fight. I can't remember what it was about, but basically he fired Rick Baker and hired Carlo Rambaldi, who created the E.T., and then the movie changed from a horror film into the feel good mega hit sensation that it turned out to be. And of course, Rob Bottin's makeup effects in The Thing were just freaking unbelievably good. But that wasn't really, that was more of a mishmash of just craziness than a monster design per se. Well, that Pumpkinhead was cool, but that was Stan Winston. Stan Winston, of course, was incredibly good as well. For those of you who don't know, I've told this story before, but my son, who's an engineer, worked for Legacy Effects down in Burbank for a while. This is after Stan passed away, but he had to, I got to go in there 2 or 3 times, kind of hang out, and it was really freaking cool. I saw the costume for that, the Gill Man for the Shape of Water. My son worked on that, and worked on the mechanism to make the gills flap. But yeah, they were working on that when I went in there, and that was pretty cool. You go in there and you have to sign a disclosure agreement that you can't, take pictures or tell anybody what you saw. Of course, I told everybody, but I didn't, it's not like I called up the Hollywood Reporter and said, oh my gosh, they're doing this or that. Actually, I really didn't have anybody to tell. So Shelley's like, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, I'm starting to hear that that's a possibility, which is disappointing because I was such a huge Spielberg fan growing up. Oh my gosh, I just idolized the guy and just thought his films were fantastic. And they are, for the most part, most of them are. Some of the later ones, not so much, but it's funny, you never want to find out too much about your heroes because you're always disappointed. Same with artists. You just can never tell with us. We're a superstitious and cowardly lot. Actually, the ones I hang out with are pretty cool. Which few I do hang out with. I suppose anybody can be a dick at any given time for a variety of reasons. So as long as it's not a consistent theme in your life. I got invited to a show in Spokane for next year, Spokane, Washington. I'm kind of like, God, I don't want to drive all the way up to Spokane. But I don't know if I initially want to hop a little prop plane up there either. So that's my big dilemma right now. Deciding if I want to go to that. See, proof that I can still ink with a brush. Hey, Nighthawk Warriors here. Thanks for joining us, Nighthawk. Dan Lawless. Dan's like, hey, that's great. Hey, do I get to color this? No, because then I have to pay you to color it. If I color it myself, I don't have to pay myself. So, thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that. How am I doing today, Nighthawk? I am doing swell. I'm trying to figure out ways to get more work done. And I guess the actual answer to that question is to stay off the internet. But if I can come on the internet and get some work done and I can kill two birds with one stone. So that's what I'm attempting to do here. I got page 8 over there on the drafting table for Wraith of God Blood Hunters laid out, and I really want to get that penciled today as well. If I can get this inked and that penciled today, it'll be a monumentally great day. Of course, I don't know if I'm going to pull that off or not, but I'm a little disappointed with the, and maybe I'm just not looking in the right place, but it doesn't seem like there's the plethora of monster films on TV that I would have expected. I mean, American Movie Classics shows stuff, but God, they always pick like the crappiest movies. It's like, I thought your name of your channel was American Movie Classics, not American Movie Crap. I really like to see some of the old, and I know stuff from the 70s and 80s is probably considered classic now, but I mean, I would love to see a nice run of, someone just showing all the old monster films from the 30s and 40s. I've got most of them on DVD, so I actually could watch them, I suppose, but it's so much easier just to turn on your TV and go, oh, hey, there's a monster movie on, instead of actually digging up the movie, putting in the Blu-ray machine, pushing buttons. I know. I mean, what a baby. Oh my gosh. It's a prime example of how technology has ruined us. Ruined me anyway. I'll watch Jaws every single time it's on TV, but almost never will I pull out the DVD or Blu-ray and put it in and watch it. And I'll go to the theater every time it comes out in the theater, but maybe that's because it actually is on TV so much that I've never felt the need to actually take out my 50th anniversary or 45th anniversary or whatever it is, Blu-ray and watch it. I do that with Wrath of Khan occasionally, though, because that movie isn't on as much as Jaws is. And then if you get Paramount Channel, which I do, they're always playing the Indiana Jones films, so I don't have to go too long without A nice dose of Raiders. Kevin Thomas says AMC ain't what it used to be. When they inherited Monster Fest from TNT, they used to show a lot of the old stuff. Now it's the same 3 crappy Halloween sequels. That's the truth. I can't understand that, but that's all they show is like the crappy Halloween movies. And occasionally they'll show the first one, which of course is good, but we've all seen it a million times. But I get the fact that they don't think, I'm sure, that modern audiences want to watch black and white movies. They want to watch color stuff. But they could still have a variety of color horror films that I would watch if they'd show them. Creative Face says, what was it? I figuring out a Christmas horror design for the Nutcracker. Oh my gosh. Do you remember that? It was a TV movie with Karen Black that had this little voodoo doll that chased her around her apartment with a knife. Or tiki doll kind of thing. And oh my gosh, had this huge mouth with like these razor sharp teeth in it, like a shark almost. And that when you said, a Nutcracker design, that's immediately what I thought of. You give this Nutcracker these, rows and rows of teeth, and it's just going around just like attacking people and chewing on their flesh. Sounds like good fun. And I have not seen anybody, and I'm sure they will because I keep seeing them do it. It's part of their advertisement campaign for Monster Fest. I think it's AMC. No. Yeah, American Movie Classics. Fright Night, which is I don't like vampire films mainly because they're not monstery enough. But Fright Night is the original. Is great. A movie I saw, I think, last Halloween on one of these shows, like AMC or something, was I don't know if you guys ever seen The Town That Dreaded Sundown, supposedly based on a true story. Kind of a, it was kind of a Halloween type, this kind of serial killer with a mask kind of thing. And it was so bad. There was a scene where the killer took this, I don't know, teenage girl. They were like on a prom or something. I can't remember. Ties her to a tree, takes out a trombone, has a knife in the trombone, the end of the trombone, and then starts playing the trombone and stabbing her with. It was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I said, I don't think I'm supposed to be laughing during this part. Maybe it just wasn't well executed, but wow, it was kind of dumb. And I did just watch parts of enough of the last Halloween movie. Halloween Kills, I guess it is. Because I do kind of want to watch Halloween the End, although I haven't read any reviews yet. I probably should go check the reviews. It's probably a horrible movie, but something sort of, the showdown finally happening is sort of intriguing to me, although, like I said, I'm sure I'll be disappointed. But so I did watch a bunch of that movie as much as I could stomach, and it was just kind of, that wasn't very good. But at least now I'm caught up on my Halloween viewing. Wonder how thrilled Carpenter is with all this crap. Of course, the funny thing about Carpenter is it's not like he's a genius filmmaker. I mean, he's made some really, some of my favorite films, The Thing, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China. But he's also made some real clunkers. But Halloween, of course, was actually really good. The first one. It's interesting how it is that you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker, musician, comic book artist, whatever. You do something really good or maybe even great, and we all expect that person to do everything they do to be great, and it's really, really hard, to maintain that. And I think ego gets in the way too a lot of times and keeps artists from seeing the truth of what they're either writing or looking at. And that's one thing you gotta stay humble. And I know a lot of people say that, oh, I'm so humbled by this and blah blah blah, but they're not. But yeah, humility is the secret. You have to have confidence in yourself, but you also have to have a level of humility that keeps you from going off the deep end. It keeps you striving for excellence. And I think if you do that, you have a better chance of being consistent, doing consistently good work. But we'll see how Wraith of God 2 turns out. Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember. I've seen some of that. I can't remember if I've seen the whole thing or not. The Boggy Creek, The Legend of Boggy Creek, but Don Wells being in it is enough reason to go see it. Well, yeah, modern ones do. I think they were attempting to be scary. I mean, if you've ever seen like The Brides of Dracula, which is a Hammer film, like 1961, 63, somewhere in that neighborhood, it's black and white. I thought that was a pretty scary film. But I was little when I saw it, so don't. Trilogy of Terror. Yes, that's the movie with Karen Black who gets attacked by the little tiki doll thing. Strain, didn't watch it. They Live. Come on. I mean, yeah, it was funny, I guess. I don't know. Roddy Piper. Wasn't he in They Live? I think that was. Yeah, this Dark Star is a movie that Carpenter started. He was a USC film student and dropped out, but he was working on Dark Star, I think, when he was still in school, and then he got funding for it and said, see you dudes later, and went and made it. But it's basically stoners in space, right? I mean, I've never seen it. Dan O'Bannon, I'm pretty sure, wrote the screenplay along with Carpenter. Had something to do with it anyway. Dan O'Bannon, of course, wrote what was that zombie movie? Not Night of the Living Dead. It was something like that, though. Something of the Living Dead. It was sort of a black comedy or a dark comedy, or however you want to phrase that in today's politically correct society. Now I see, was it Kevin Thomas says Graham? Okay, I would watch Graham's 31 Days of Monsters, except it's on like at freaking 5 in the morning here, and it's like I'm not getting up that early. And then during the day, it's like I keep forgetting to go back and turn them on and listen to them while I'm working. I should though. Graham has a very different opinion on Carpenter. If you tune into his 31 Days, he probably hates Carpenter, doesn't he? I don't know. You have to tell me, Kevin, what his opinion is, but that would be my guess because I know he prefers the original thing, which I do not. But Graham also prefers Star Trek 1 to Star Trek 2. So, you have to take that with a grain of salt. No, I mean, everybody has, that's the thing about critiquing movies or whatever. It's like, or even comic books for that matter. It's all so subjective. We all have certain tastes and stuff that we like and certain things that we look for. And see, one person can hate a movie, another person think it's the greatest thing in the world. And it's weird how that's possible because you'd think we would have some sort of standards of what needs to be there to make it successful, whether that's artwork, a story, a movie. But, there's certain things that we like and certain things we don't like. They're just personal convictions, and it can affect how you judge some of that stuff. I really used to be a slave to movie critics, and I would read critics and get a consensus on a movie before I'd go see it. Some movies I went and saw anyway, like Howard the Duck, because I just had to see it, even though everybody in the world said how horrible it was, and boy, was it. But I still wanted to go see it. And, John Carter didn't get great reviews, but obviously I had to go see that. And I love that movie, but I would never offer my point of view as a critique of it because I think I'm biased. I want to love it so bad that I may not be seeing it clearly. So I'd always preface my review, So I don't like it when people say, "Oh, that movie sucks," or "This person is a crap artist," or whatever, because there's always someone who's going to like it for different, for other reasons than why you particularly hate it. So I think it's always good to couch your statements by saying, "I think this movie stinks," or "I don't like this movie because of this reason," right? Rather than just saying, "This movie sucks," and basically telling everybody that likes it that they're idiots for liking it. Because it is so subjective. I taught an art class like ages ago, and I had a lot of young students, and they were always like, that sort of Rob Liefeld jealousy. It's like, how can this guy be so successful kind of thing? And so they were all like, Rob Liefeld sucks and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? He's a professional and you're not. I said, so what you say is, I don't like his artwork, but he obviously doesn't suck or he would not be successful. Or he's figured out some sort of formula to attract, a lot of attention to his work. So, don't critique people that way. And quite frankly, probably shouldn't. I don't critique people unless they ask for it, because I don't think that it's good etiquette to, someone posts something online or whatever, and to tell them what's wrong with their artwork. That's sorry, but that's like an art student thing to do. Because why else? Why would you post a critique of somebody? Why would you critique somebody's work without being solicited to do so, unless you're just trying to make yourself look better and then look worse? I mean, that's just how I feel about it. So I try not to do that, even if I think it stinks. You know. Didn't mean to get on a soapbox. Sorry about that. I tried to get David to come in here and he wouldn't do it. So now he's sitting in the chat taking shots at me. I'm on page 8 right now. And I've got 2 pages of Garbage Man done. So that's 10 pages total for the overall book. Carpenter's last movie starred Amber Heard. She broke him. That's pretty funny. There you go. It's a man after my own heart. That's an excellent question. Counting Journey into Mystery. I don't know off the top of my head. I have to go count, but probably. Well, I've got all the Simonson run, but I don't really count that because that's what I would consider. I mean, it's ridiculous to say something that came out in 1983 as being contemporary, but that's how I look at it. I think anything post 1980 is what I consider contemporary comics or modern comics. Excuse me. My collection is mostly, almost exclusively pre 1980, but I have. Counting Journey into Mysteries, probably, and not counting the Simonson stuff, I would say close to 40. I mean, it's not a huge. I don't buy every issue. I buy covers that I like of the older stuff, or maybe first appearances, or things like that. Because what I end up doing is, I mean, eventually I would like to get all my complete Captain America run, right? Or my complete Thor run, but there's a lot of issues of Thor that don't have a lot of value, right? And those are ones you can tell yourself, well, I can get those anytime, right? So I spend my time focusing on the more expensive ones and the more difficult ones to find. And so I'll buy, 3 or 4 comic books a year that are really expensive, as opposed to buying 100 comics that are cheap. So my collection gets put together very, very slowly. But I just buy the Journey into Mysteries that I like the covers on. And there's several I'm trying to get. And there's ones that I'm priced out of already that I can't afford. Or at least I don't think I can. Maybe something will, in Joe Biden's America, maybe the economy will drop to a point where these books will come down a little bit and maybe I can afford to get into them. I had a complete run of Spider-Man almost. I had 2 and up. And I sold it because once I got there, I realized I would never get Amazing 15 and I would never get Spider-Man #1. So I said, well, this is a complete thing. I'm done with it. So, so I sold it. Which I kind of wish I hadn't now, but it was kind of you get so attached to stuff and you're like, could I really sell this if I needed to? And then it was kind of like an exercise in seeing if I could actually do it. But it was also kind of frustrating because it's like when you can't add anything to your collection because you've got everything, then what are you supposed to do? Start buying the same issue over and over again? Which, I mean, a lot of people do that. But I don't know. I felt like I'd completed my run and moved on to other things. Of course, you see the prices that some of those Spideys are getting now, and I'm like, if only I'd waited another 5 years to sell them. But that'll always be the case. There's always going to be, stuff's always going to go up. And so you're always like 10 years later going, or 5 years later, oh, if I just held it for 5 more years, I could have made this much. But, okay. Let's see here. Return of the Living Dead. That's the Dan O'Bannon movie. Yes. No, Shaun of the Dead. Actually, I saw that. That was kind of funny. I like that. Actually, it was really funny. I like that movie. Jeff Potts loves Carpenter. I love some of Carpenter's stuff. I don't love everything though. Let's see. I think John Carter had a bad rap. So do I. I got a really bad ad campaign and publicity. It was just terrible. Ruined that. I thought it was a really good film, and I thought the lead. What's his name? Guy who played Gambit, and he was in. I just don't think he's a very good leading man. He was in the Terminal List with Chris Pratt, and I thought he was actually really good in it. But as a lead character, he's just kind of flat. He's not real dynamic, and I thought that hurt the movie. I think there's a truth to that as well. Survive Infinity 0088 is in the chat. Thank you for joining us, man. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I mean that was my whole point. Is it's not always about how well you draw. It's about what kind of emotional impact can you get from your readership? What kind of energy, And obviously, I mean, all the Image guys were pretty good at that, whether you like their stuff or not. Oops. What is this? Aaron, can you please zoom out a little? You are inking off camera sometimes. Thank you. Sorry, Henry. Aaron, do you know who your character will be? No, I have no idea. That will be a surprise. Sure. I'll take suggestions. Won't listen to them, but I'll take them. No, I'm kidding. I might. If you guys come up with something good, I'll. St. Ravage says, thank you for the draw stream, Aaron. It's relaxing and beautiful after a terrible day. Oh, I'm sorry you had a bad day, St. Ravage. Oh, hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to do more quick videos that, live streams always end up being, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. But those quick, little 10-minute videos or less, or trying to do more of those. That's my dog saying hello. I think everybody's out there taking care of their garbage cans. Oh, jeez. I have to go yell at my dog here in a minute. He does not chill out. Yeah, I should. And I was actually thinking about doing Frankenstein. Karloff Frankenstein, of course. I've got, I'm kind of torn. I've got a couple of ideas for the next Wraith story. I've got this stone man thing, kind of like a golem, that's intriguing me. I might do a Frankenstein story, which might be kind of really cool. There's always zombies, but they're so done. They're done so much that it's, I'll have to think. There's, like I said, there's a progression. I'm going someplace with this Wraith of God stuff, and so it's only. I got to figure out how many steps I want to take between now and when I get to what would be considered the end, and that's going to dictate how many monsters. I love mummies, but I don't know how many mummies would be in the Old West. I guess I could ship them in, just like the vampire came shipped in. Yeah, you're absolutely right. All right, let's finish up this guy's face. Been live for about, I want to go about an hour and a half, and that's it. So let's see what we can get done here in the next 15 minutes. It's hard to get in there and can you get, yeah, okay, that's good. I got to get the camera right so that I'm not blocking what I'm doing. I take my dog for a walk every morning with the hopes that it will tire him out. It never works. He's in here nudging my hand right now, going, pet me, pet me. And I'm like, dude, I'm inking. See, the funny thing is I go in here on this, especially on this tiny stuff like this, and I treat the pen almost like a pencil. If you can watch, almost like sort of sketching a line here with it. And if you're going to do that, you might as well use a freaking pen and give yourself about half the grief. The only problem is when you're doing like faces and stuff like this that are small, you can really control the thickness of your line on it with a brush, and you can get really, really thin, intricate lines. Whereas when you're using a pen, you're married to the size of the tip of the pen, and that's as thin a line as you can get. Now, sometimes I will take a pen and kind of turn it on its side and just use the edge of the nib to get kind of a thinner line, but it actually is easier to control that line weight with a brush if you have control of it. I mean, if you don't, then it's not, but you gotta be really super delicate though. Now, making those circles with a brush is hard for me, like the pupil and stuff. So I'll use that. I'll use a pen to do that probably. Now I should go in and darken up this around these eyes, but the thing is, this garbage man right here, this is a color spot. So is this up here. So I don't want to blacken those in because then you wouldn't be able to see the color spot. And the color spot is sort of the trademark. You have a certain, it's almost like a costume design. So I always like to show that color around the eye. It only has one nostril. I was trying to do, come up with, when I was designing the character, I was trying everything I could to make him look like, a typical Swamp Thing or, Sludge or whatever, but without being exactly the same. So it's like, what can I change? What can I change? I'll give him one nostril instead of two. Um, all right, so I had someone complain on there, which I brought up about me being in too close and sometimes inking off the page, right? Because it's hard. Obviously, I can't watch the screen while I'm inking. Would you guys rather me pull back so you can see the whole picture, or do you prefer to be zoomed in when I'm doing these little line work so you can see how I'm doing that better? Just curious. Because if you guys want me to pull out to a longer shot, I will do that. I figured you guys would probably want to get on a little bit closer on the detail stuff. I knew the second I said that I was going to get something like that. Yeah, there's, if we were all functioning, let me answer this first. Yeah, I had some thought into that as well. Yeah, I saw it. I meant your monster drawings for Gilman or Fly. Yep, I got that. Patchwork Man. Henry Jeremek likes the Patchwork Man. I remember him from Swamp Thing #3. Yeah, okay, so back to this. It would be great to do some crossovers with other characters. And until we can figure out how to operate like bigger companies, which I don't know, maybe we really don't want to operate like bigger companies. But in fact, I had David Williams ask me just today. I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, "What are you going to do next?" I said, "That's an excellent question. Obviously, I've got to keep doing Wraith, but so a lot of people want Kit Carter, and so maybe I should do a Kit Carter project. But if I do a Kit Carter project, that means I got to put the Wraith on hold for a little bit." And then it was like, well, keep doing the backup stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. But the point being, until we can get into a situation where we're, being able to put out multiple titles per year, doing crossovers would be difficult. And I think we're all sort of in this infancy stage. I mean, Malin seems to be doing okay with, having other artists draw some of his stuff. I don't know if I'm at that stage yet where I'm willing to turn my stuff over to somebody else. But I mean, if we want to do stuff more regularly and get, stuff out there more regularly, we're going to have to make that decision at some point and say, okay, I'm either going to do one book a year and it's going to be all me and that's just the way it's going to be till I drop dead, or, I want to expand this universe, and I want to get more titles out there with different characters in it. So I'm going to use other people. So that's kind of an interesting dilemma, and certainly one I'm going to have to seriously think about moving forward. But I kind of get this vibe that everybody really wants to see a Kit Carter book. So maybe I do a Kit Carter book with a, Wraith backup or something next time, so that we can still get our Wraith fix and move the story along, but still give Kit Carter the limelight at least once. I think Garbage Man is better as a backup feature than it is a lead feature. Because I think his appeal is more limited. But I still think people like the character and are going to want to see the character. So, and I do have plans for him that I need to see come to fruition as well. So I may have to, we'll see how this goes, this current campaign goes with the backup stories, but I think that may be the best way to continue to move forward, at least with me doing everything. But it is hard because there's so many things I want to do. Like I talked on Andy's stream yesterday about doing a Savage Tales type magazine, a black and white magazine with, several people working on it, which would make it easier. But it's still a campaign you got to run, and it's still a book you got to get printed and shipped out and all that kind of stuff. And but it'd be really fun to do something like that, even if it was just a one shot, But I also think you have to develop a goodwill, enough goodwill with your audience that they're willing to back multiple projects while some of them are still in the pipeline. In other words, backing a project while you're still waiting for the one before it. And you've got to develop enough goodwill. Somebody like Billy Tucci can do it because he's been printing and delivering She for literally decades. The rest of us who are still in the infancy of this, do a couple campaigns and deliver them on time, and I think you've developed more goodwill with people to be able to maybe expand a little bit and do more than one project a year. We shall see. We shall see indeed. All right. So what have we accomplished so far today? Just good, clean, Garbage Man fun. Can you always talk to Nighthawk? Okay, I was like, can you draw Cyberfrog? You got my backing on all your projects, that's for sure. Thank you, Gray Fox. I appreciate that a lot. Who's they? I haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean anything because I'm not Not as dialed in as a lot of people are on this stuff. Thank you, Creative Faye. Appreciate it. I'd like to get it up on the campaign by early next week. I'll send out an update so before I post it so everybody know it's coming. But once I get it completely inked, which I'm almost there, then I'll put it up. And they got a kit quarter after that, so might also put up a page from Wraith of God, Blood Hunters. Thinking of tossing this one up for sale as well on the campaign page. That's the first page to the book. For those of you who haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to catch Irene and pass her. Well, no, we all love Irene, and I wanted to do really, really well. I just wanted to do $1 less than me, and then I can feel good. Let's see, get this hand outlined here, and then so the next art live stream I do will be inking Kit Carter trading card. Also, I got to do a poll. Those of you who have be thinking about this. Those of you who have read Wraith of God graphic novel, the first one, there was a bulletin page on there that featured a value stamp of Eon Chance, a character who will be making his debut in the nightclub story, which is one of the backups in the Wraith of God Blood Hunters book. But anyway, in that bulletin page, there's also write-ups for all the Loprestiverse characters and books, like Marvel used to do. So it kind of pretends that these books, if they were coming out this month, it gives you like a little write-up for what the story is and all that kind of stuff. So taking that into account, I want to get everybody's opinion on what character they would like me to do as a value stamp in Blood Hunters out of those titles that I previewed on the bulletin page. So I may put up like some sort of poll on Twitter and do it a couple times and or just, start a thread and ask, which characters you guys which character you want to see it in that next value stamp. And because I can't decide. I got too many. So in this campaign, Kit Carter will be, yeah, she's a backup story in this Wraith of God Bloodhunters book. So you have the lead Wraith of God Bloodhunters story, then you have a Garbage Man backup, then you have a nightclub backup, and then when we hit 100, which we already did, then you get the Kit Carter backup, which is going to be 15 pages. It's not going to be a backup story in the traditional sense. It's going to be, I did these as newspaper strips, sort of like Sunday pages, but in comic book format. And so I'm going to run 15 of those. It'll complete a story arc, but it's not set up completely like a regular comic continuity would be. But when I do a Kit Carter book, I will treat it like a comic book continuity as opposed to a newspaper strip continuity, which is a little bit different. Space Raiders. Royce Falcon and Del Omega is actually a chick. So I almost did their value stamp, but then ended up doing, or was I going to do them as a sticker? And then I ended up doing Imperius instead, because Imperius is actually more important than they are. But that's a possibility. Royce Falcon and Del Omega, who are the Space Raiders. Hey, Phil. Phil is here from Zaid Comics. Rumor has it Phil's a big Bisley fan. I don't know if I can verify that or not, but I've heard that. Can't get too much water on my brush, and then it waters down the ink too much. So it's like I rinse off the ink, and then I sort of dry the tip, and then I dip it. So it's damp, but not wet. And then my ink doesn't go gray on me. I know, I quit threatening to stop, and then I just keep on going. What the heck, man. See, I'm already getting like mental fatigue from brushing. And it's like I'm really having to catch myself so I don't get sloppy. That's pretty much the whole outline. big forearm here that's kind of made of like kind of a concrete type material. Probably going to go over the edges with a pen. Chunk it up a little bit. Got to come up with a few more inventive things to have sticking out of him that I haven't put in yet. Keep thinking at some point I should like be funny to have like a toilet seat sticking out of his back or something, but I don't want to have to keep drawing it either. It's like good for a one panel gag, but then it's like, oh, I got to draw the toilet seat every panel. Okie doke. All right, let's call that good for right now. Go wash my brush out with soap and water so it doesn't get ruined, since it's the last one I have. Yeah, diapers sticking out of there. Ugh. It is Garbage Man. Do one of the horse. Do one of the horse. You're talking about like a sketch horse? Yeah, no. No. Aaron, that fantasy style coloring page you showed the other day, does that have any type of story behind it? Heck yeah, it does. It's completely developed. In fact, if you backed and have the Wraith of God graphic novel, if you look on the bulletin page, you'll see something called Warrior. No, actually, I don't. I take it back. I didn't preview it in there, so forget it. But yeah, I have it. I got a completely developed story. In fact, I almost did that instead of Wraith of God, but like I said before, God definitely told me to do Wraith of God. So I did Wraith of God. But actually, the fantasy thing that you're talking about, the fantasy piece I'm talking about, I pitched it to Vertigo and they didn't like it. So screw them. They don't even exist anymore. Yeah, it's another thing I really want to do. Because I am a big, fantasy fan. Love that stuff as well. But it's another thing that's not direct. It's like Kit Carter. It's not directly connected to my universe. So I can't really tie it into anything. So, here I am again. So I'm always wrestling with, do I want to put out stuff that's only going to forward the universe, or do I have like pet projects like Kit Carter, or this thing, which is tentatively called Warriors of the Light. I think that's too soft of a title, so I need to rename it. But anyway, that's the fantasy thing. If I do that, I would really love to do it just from an artist standpoint and a writing standpoint, but it doesn't really go anywhere beyond, it'd be a graphic novel, self-contained. And so again, you're talking about a year commitment to do it. And then you put everything else aside that's, pushing your universe forward to do this. And so it's kind of like, wrestling with doing it or not doing it. I have, again, if you look at that bulletin page and everything that's laid out there, every single thing on there is completely developed and ready to go. I just haven't done it yet. And I have to figure out where it's all going to fit in. I have short-term, long-term, if that makes any sense. I have short-term plans that are still kind of long-term because, 5 or 6 issues or 5 or 6 books could take 5 or 6 years to do. So it's long-term in that sense, but short-term in terms of big picture. So, but I'll get it figured out and exactly how I can do this and get more content out to you guys in a shorter period of time. And it may be doing what I'm doing here is doing 100-page books that have 4 or 5 stories in them that are all interconnected, but feature the different stories and the different characters. That may be the best way to do it. We're offering 4 floppies as in one package, in one campaign. I don't know. There's ways to do it, but I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. There it is. No one knows Biz like Phil does. I believe that. Although I know him too now because I spent several hours with him at a bar to get him talked into doing the cover. Actually had a beer too. Shocking. There you go. You could find the toilet seat stuck to his back, rip it out and throw it at something. That's actually kind of funny. All right. I'm going to use that. R. Brueggemann. I'm going to say Brueggemann. I'm going to steal your idea. That's basically what R. Brueggemann said. So, yeah, maybe in this story I could pull a toilet seat out of his back and throw it at a zombie. God, that's a good idea. All right, I'm going to steal that. Creative Faces, I'd like to hear the story of how God told you to make Wraith of God. Okay, I'm a Christian, whether you know that or not, and I don't, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you guys, but no, I put there's this old, Old Testament way they would try to figure out God's will is they would not draw straws, but throw lots, right? And so basically I had all these IPs and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going to sell. So I put them all in a sack. I rolled them up in I wrote it on a piece of paper and rolled it up and put it in a sack. And there was 6 or 8 of them in there. And so I pulled one out and it was Wraith of God. And I didn't trust it, right? It was because I still thought the Western's not going to work. So I threw it back in the sack and I shook it up and I did it again, right? And pulled out the Wraith of God again. So I'm like, okay, I get the message, God, I'll do this. And so then a year went by and I was doing a lot of YouTubing, trying to get, a reader base set up before I launched this thing. And then so a year went by and I was kind of like, I still didn't trust it. I was still like, there's no way I'm doing a Western. It's going to fail miserably. So I said, I did it one more time. And each time before I reached in the sack, I would pray, I'd like, God, help me pick the right one. And so anyway, so the year later, I did it again and pulled out Wraith of God a third time a year later. I said, okay, all right, I'm doing Wraith of God. And that's why I chose to do Wraith of God. That's how I did it. So there's the story. Mike, you're just now joining us and you missed me do all this inking with a brush just for you. I called you out before I started saying that Mike's always giving me a hard time because I'm using a pen. Got the brush out. So there you go. And it's true too. I mean, I happen to believe it was, it was answered prayer, but people take it any way you want to, but that's how it happened, and that's the truth. So, he's getting all biblical on me. Evil One has returned. It's been a while, but I'm back. Well, it hasn't been that long. Anyway, gentlemen, if there's any ladies in the chat, thank you for joining me. I'm going to be moving on now to lunch. I got to get that page 8. I got to get that penciled today too. I don't know. I may finish this tonight. So anyway, let me, before I dip out, let me, where is it? Gosh darn it. Sharing stuff is never as easy as I would like it to be. All right, let's try this. That's my dog, by the way. We have so many delivery guys going up and down the street every day. Okay, so we talked about Bisley. That's the Bisley cover right there. So you have 4 cover options on this campaign. This is the Wraith of God Blood Hunters campaign, which is live right now. This is the book I'm working on, and the trading card, the Garbage Man trading card I was inking. That's part of this campaign. It's a stretch goal, a freebie that we've already hit. So everybody gets one for free that backs the campaign. So we got the Bisley cover option. Now this will have trade dress on it. It's not going to be a virgin cover. It will have trade dress on it. I just didn't put it on there yet. And then same with this. This is the wraparound cover version that I did. That'll have trade dress as well. Then there's the Tales of Suspense throwback cover. That kind of features the backup story guys, Garbage Man in the Nightclub. And of course, this was made before we hit the stretch goal for Kit Carter. So Kit Carter's in there as well, but just not advertised. She'll just be in the back. And then, of course, the Tomb of Dracula #1 tribute cover that based on the cover that Neil Adams did way back in '72. So those are your 4 cover options. Here's some interior work, pencil and ink by me, colored by Gabe. This is really nice looking stuff. He did a really nice job on this. Here's a couple of the Garbage Man backup story pages, colored by our own Dan Lawless, who's sitting in the chat right now. So this will be real fun. You'll get a real kick out of this, Dan, because it really gets more rights-y as it goes, if you can believe that. This is the limited edition signed and numbered Garbage Man print. I did a Wraith of God print last time. This time I'm doing the Garbage Man print, so you can add that to your growing print collection. These are mini prints, by the way. They're the same size as the comic. A Wraith of God Roughs, Volume 2. This will have 48 pages of page layouts in it, so that you can see my process for laying the page out, and then you can compare it to the finished work. A lot of people dig that, and you kind of get to pull back the curtain a little bit. So this is actually, and it's only $15. So this is actually a really good thing to pick up. You can get it. There's a perk with it, or you can get it as an add-on. This is the Merv the Astro Chimp card, also known as the Phil Diaz card, that everybody gets that signed up early and then ordered. I'll make these available for $5 a piece for those of you who didn't sign up early. Shame on you, but still ordered anyway. So you'll still be able to get a chance to get that, but just not for free. These are all the stretch goals. We talked about those. There's T-shirts. There's the Bloody Werewolf, which is selling like hotcakes. So don't be the only person in your neighborhood not to get one. That's the Gail Eltieb colored that T-shirt. Garbage Man T-shirt, both available in garbage green and cleanly white. And then, of course, the classic Wraith of God shirt. We have these incredible Empire Comics baseball caps that are available. I still have a few copies, not many, but a few copies of the Esther cover here of the original graphic novel available as an add-on. So if you want to get one of those, order it as an add-on soon, because I think there's only like 15 copies left or less. You can also contact me directly if you want to get one, but you don't want it to, you don't want to wait. You got to read it right now, kind of thing. You can contact me directly, and I have a few left. Garbage Man trade paperbacks available still. Power Cubed is sold out. We'll see if I can get more down the line. And of course, we have the great. This was Shelley's project all the way through and through, is getting the shot glasses, and she demonstrates them quite frequently on our Sunday show. So we have a Wraith of God and a Garbage Man. They're laser etched into the glass. So those are cool. And we've got some original art going to be posted up here next week as well. So anyway, there's the campaign in a nutshell. But I kind of want to show off the Bisley cover because I spent a heck of a lot of money getting it. So, but it's selling really, really well. So it's already paid for itself. So that's good. Yeah, see, Phil recognized himself. Yeah, I wanted to get different colorists on the different stories so they didn't all look the same. And, Dan asked if he could color it. And I said, heck yeah, you can color it. And I'll even pay you to do it. And so that the Garbage Man story is going to look very different than the Wraith of God story. And then I'll probably get a third colorist to do the nightclub story. And I'm coloring the Kit Carter. Because half of that's already done and colored by me. So I'm just going to, rather than have someone kind of try to go in and emulate what I did to keep it consistent, I'll color it myself. Look at that. Just talked to Bisley a couple of days ago. Oh yeah. I just texted with him yesterday. So there. So now we're going to fight over who's better friends with Bisley. And I'm going to make this into a poster. I mentioned the poster campaign earlier, but what that's going to consist of is the Dale Keown Bloody Werewolf as a blacklight poster. We'll do this as a poster. And then the Kit Carter poster, which I haven't drawn yet, which will be in size of an insert movie poster. And it'll be like a fake movie poster. So it'll be kind of fun. So those will be some options, and that'll be run as a print campaign in the spring. So probably right about the time that I close this campaign and the book goes to the printer, I'll probably do the print campaign as a filler in there while I'm waiting for the books to get back from the printer. We'll do the print campaign for 30 days, and then I'll close it down and send it to the printer. So hopefully most of that stuff will come in about the same time, and we'll be shipping out like crazy for a couple months. Dan, you went to the NYCC. Great, man. Yeah, Biz was there, and thankfully he got this done just before he left for NYCC, because I was like, Simon, you got to get this done. You got to get this done, man. Because he had it like half finished for the longest time, and I'm sitting there looking at these half finished, the pictures of the painting, and I'm like, finish it, for the love of God, man, finish it. So he finally did, and that was great. Anyway, so the what am I saying? The link to this campaign is in the description of this video. I really do hate to be a salesman all the time. It pains me. It doesn't come natural to me, but I understand the necessity of doing it. So go check that campaign page out if you haven't backed yet, and see if you can find something there that is of interest to you. We get this to 120,000. Then we get a playing card. Let me grab it. It's right here, in fact. I thought it was. Yes. In case you're unfamiliar, I did a Ace of Spades playing card that was part of one of the stretch goals, and in fact, it was at 120,000 last time. So when this gets to 120, you're going to get a matching. Where is it? Okay. So it's an ace of spades card with a wraith on the back of it. All right. So we're going to do a queen of hearts. Now I'm not sure. I may do the same image on the back, but have like Esther on here as the queen. That's probably what I'm going to do. So that rather than putting Esther on the back, I don't know. What do you guys think? If I put Esther on the back, then it a queen, there's still going to be a queen on this side. So it would probably match like if I was making a whole deck or something, right? So if I did this on the back and then you flip it over and it's Esther as the queen, doesn't that make more sense? It's green laser. So you're agreeing with me, green laser, that Esther on the as the queen on this side of the card, keep the wraith on the back so the two cards will go together. That makes sense to me now that I said it out loud. But Evil One says yes. Kevin Thomas, yes. Green Laser, yes. Okay, so yeah, you need the same image on the back of all of them, so the deck is like, okay, I got you. Yes, makes total sense. Now that like I said, now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Evil One says Deborah wants me to start Indiegogo, so I may have to join and back yours first, Aaron. You haven't backed yet, Evil One? Come on, man. No, that'd be great. I'd really appreciate it. No pressure. Creative Faye agrees with me. Everybody agrees. Same back, Esther as the queen. That's what I'm doing. Decisions made. That's what we're doing. But we got to get to 120. So spread the word, you guys. Help me out, and because we all benefit. Yeah. So there you have it. Okay. There's my sales page. Blah blah blah. All right. So next live stream I do will probably be me inking the Esther art, which is this right here. Still got a little bit of penciling to do to tighten it up, but that'll be the next inking stream, which maybe, what's today, Thursday? I might do one tomorrow. I will do one tomorrow. So keep your eyes open for that. And we'll get going on that Esther card and art. And like I said, both the Esther and the Garbage Man pieces will be up for sale on the campaign page next week if everything goes smoothly. Mike, thanks for your contribution. It's always appreciated. Look at that. Brugerman says, get backing. I backed over 100. He backed over 100 projects. That's amazing. Thank you, man. That's right. Keep Aaron alive. Buy comics. Okay, so now you're causing me grief. No, he can't be the king because he's the ace of spades. All right. So I was going to leave, but now we have a conversation going. Wow, who would be the king? God, that's a good question. But that's assuming I'm going to do an entire deck, which seems unlikely. But yeah, well, he can't be. No, he's got to be the ace of spades. But he's not really on the card, right? So really, it's just, it's an ace of spades card with the wraith on the back, but he's not necessarily the ace of spades because he's going to be in the back of all the cards. So technically, he could be the king. But see, it's all problematic because then who would be the jack, right? And then you'd have to like work different monsters in, right? Like a werewolf could be the jack, or the and then you got a queen of hearts, you got a queen of spades, you got to do are all those different? God, this is getting complicated. See, this is what I expect from Mike. Shadow King. Oh, that's a good name. Trademark. That's true, but I'm not going to draw a picture of God. I wouldn't. To me, that'd be kind of like blasphemous. Oh yeah, that's right. Sequential Treasures reminding me to remind you guys that there is Comic Art Convo. James and I will be discussing our favorite superhero villains or comic book villains, I should say. And that's going to be at 2:00 on Saturday night. It's usually at 4. This time it's going to be at 2:00 because I have a football game I'm going to watch later in the afternoon. Sorry. So we'll be doing it earlier at 2:00 on Saturday. So don't forget about that. Mark your calendars, and that'll be right here on this channel. And then, like I said, tomorrow I will probably live stream again and ink that Kit Carter piece. So it should be good fun all the way around for everyone. Okay. Do a cool Bible design on the back of the... Okay, now you're talking about an entire new deck. Where am I supposed to get time to do all that? Jeez, you guys and your ideas. Great ideas, though. I hate to say this, Mike, but that's a good idea. But yeah, when am I going to do it? You do it. You got more time than I do. And he's going to say, no, I don't. I'm way busier than you. Oh, yeah, you could do a Vampire's the King, but who's the Joker? See, this is deep, man. We have to put King Kong knockoff as the King card. The Wraith fights Kong. Can you imagine? I mean, you could fight like a big gorilla, but I don't think he could handle King Kong. So, yes, I'm going to watch the Cornhuskers probably get beat, but I'm going to watch them anyway. Oh, here we go. Now the push for Wraith versus Kong has started. Holy crap. Well, that's what I was originally going to do, was a deck of, we were going to do like Empire Comics and have like, you know, a whole deck of using all the different characters. But that's a ton of artwork. Time is not my friend anymore. Thanks, Mike. There's a way I could do it, and I have been thinking about it, quite frankly, and I just might do it. Yeah, if you were doing a biblical one, yes, but like I said, that's a whole nother thing. Like, oh God, the amount of artwork. I mean, that's like that is like a campaign unto itself, right? Where I would be like, a whole deck of cards that would have, how many cards are in a deck? 54? Is that right? Not counting the jokers? Dude, that is a lot of art. 54 individual pieces. Make Godzilla the king because he already is. Wraith versus Godzilla. And the beat goes on. Oh my goodness. Crossovers are fun. God, that would be great. I know how to do it too. It's 54 with 2 jokers? And so it's 52, and then with 2 jokers, it's 54. Okay. All right. Wasn't there a movie? There was a movie with Roy Scheider called 52 Pickup. Pretty sure. And it was referring to the game where you say, hey, you want to play a game of 52 Pickup? And the other person goes, yeah, sure. So you throw the deck of cards on the floor and go pick them up. Yeah, Anne Margaret was in it. Oh my gosh, I love Anne Margaret. So anyway, there we got, everybody's confirming it's 52. All right, you guys give me a ton to think about. Wow. Yeah. Garbage Man Wraith crossover. That could happen. Oh boy, I might just do that. All right. I really got to go. Not really, but I do have to go. But not really. I just sort of have to go. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. As I like to say, and it's very true, I couldn't do this if you guys weren't here to watch. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate the support on the campaign. I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit the like button before you tune out, hit the notifications bell, and subscribe if you haven't already to this channel, because that helps, of course, me grow. And be looking for more short videos too, of sketch videos that'll be coming up as well. So anyway, You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll probably see you tomorrow because I'm pretty certain I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow. So around lunchtime once again. So anyway, see you guys. See you soon. And thank you for joining me.